Welcome back to the Gritty Glitter Badger podcast, where I like to question everything, especially the stuff that everyone tells you not to question. I'm Krista, your host, and today I'm going to go full rebel mode on holiday culture. We all know the feeling when you're maybe it's 3 hours into a family gathering, or it's a Christmas gathering, or whatever it is, right? And your soul starts to leave your body. When you're smiling so hard, your face hurts, like Barbie in the Toy Story at the end when she's like, "Can I stop smiling? My cheeks are killing me." And she's like literally in perpetual perma smile. Or, maybe it's you're calculating, how many bathroom breaks you can take before somebody notices you, or you're trying to figure out how to make an Irish exit, right? You know, like, you know what I'm talking about. I feel like we've all been in those scenarios at one time or another. And that's what I want to talk about today. It turns out that the Grinch might have been onto something with his whole cave dwelling, noise hating, solitude loving lifestyle. And before you come at me with, about holiday spirit and all of those things, I want to dive into actual neuroscience of why some brains literally need quote unquote cave time to function. And this isn't about being antisocial. That's not what I'm talking about. It's about being pro your nervous system. So grab your coffee. I've got my Snoopy mug with my tea, and look, if you have a cocktail or a mocktail, get it. Get your hot chocolate, whatever it is, find your coziest corner, and let's get into why giving yourself permission to Grinch out might be the most badass act of self-care that you do this season. Okay, I'm getting situated cozy on as my granddaughter calls my new office chair, my bougie office chair. But we need to talk about something that nobody wants to admit during the holiday season, right? Sometimes the Grinch had the right idea. Now, stick with me, okay? I'm not talking about stealing presents or terrorizing the Who's or making poor little Max do all of these crazy things, right? I am, you know, well, I mean, you know what? And with that, think about it. Like, quite honestly, come on, tell me I am not the only one who has actually thought about canceling that one gathering because you just feel like you don't have the headspace to do it. What I want to talk about is the Grinch's revolutionary approach, if you will, to self-care. See, chaos, building boundaries, and protecting peace. I mean, the Grinch, literally carved out a mountain sanctuary to escape overstimulation. I'm not kidding you, and that's not villainy. That is nervous system regulation right there, Badgers. And so your brain, this is your brain on a holiday, right? It can be a horror story if we let it happen. Here's what's actually happening inside your skull, and not like when Spicoli hits it with his sneaker, right? But during peak holiday season. So your amygdala, right? And that's your brain's alarm system, is firing like it's some crazy Black Friday sale at Target. And your prefrontal cortex, that's the rational thinking part, is trying to keep you from saying what you really think about Aunt Karen's, her viewpoint on things and her opinions, right? Meanwhile, while all of this is going on, your nervous system is toggling between fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. And that's that special holiday response where we smile like Barbie in the Toy Story movie and we're really dying inside. Okay. So Dr. Elaine Aron's research on highly sensitive persons shows that 15 to 20% of humans have nervous systems that process stimulation more deeply. And that means that 1 in 5 of us are basically walking around with these Ferrari engines in a go-kart world, if okay, to help you make sense out of that. And the holidays, that's like entering our Ferrari in a demolition derby. So here's the kicker with all of this. Even if you're not a highly sensitive person, your brain still has limits. Everybody's brains have limits, right? And Dr. Daniel Levitin, he's a neuroscientist, and he's also the author of The Organized Mind, found that our brains can only handle about 120 bits of information per second, right? So a single conversation, just to give you an idea of what is happening. So a single conversation uses about 60 bits, right? Now, let's add on top of that background Christmas music. That's about 10 bits. Then you're going to have a TV blaring, and that's around 20 bits. Then you're going to have kids screaming. That's 30 bits. Then your internal dialogue about escape routes is 40 bits. And then that persistent worry about, work emails or needing to get this done, that's 20 bits. So congratulations at this point, because you've exceeded your brain's bandwidth, its capacity, before somebody even served the appetizers. So let's talk about the Grinch Protocol and why well-timed, well-needed isolation isn't our enemy. So the Grinch's cape, it wasn't antisocial, like I'd mentioned, right? It was prophetic, if you will. And neuroscience now shows us that solitude isn't just nice to have. For many brains, it's literally a necessity. And it's necessary for default mode network reset. And what do I mean by that? It's your brain's DMN. It's like a computer running background updates, right? It needs quiet time to process emotions and to consolidate memories and maintain your sense of self. And when you have no cave time, that means no updates, and it means the system's going to crash by New Year's. Something else is cortisol regulation. And I know this has been talked about a lot, but it's a real thing, especially when we are constantly under stress, right? And so social interaction, even when it's a positive interaction, it elevates cortisol. So Dr. Susan David's research on emotional agility, it shows that without recovery periods, we lose our ability to respond thoughtfully rather than relatively. And this is why, maybe the example could be you snapped at your partner over ham versus turkey. It really wasn't about the ham versus turkey at all. Something else is sensory reset. Dr. Michael Posner's attention research that he did reveals that our sensory systems need breaks to maintain accuracy. So constant input, it leads to what researchers call directed attention fatigue. So what this means is, basically, keeping it simple, it's your brain's way of saying, I literally cannot even, in scientific terms. Okay, so I want to talk about now is like the science of stimulation hangovers. And let me take a sip of my tea in my fabulous Snoopy mug and get cozy here. So, that completely depleted, existentially exhausted feeling after a big gathering. I mean, we all feel it. Maybe we don't know, we don't understand it. We don't understand why we feel that way, but we do. It just feels, it is exhausting, right? That's not weakness. That's biochemistry. That is, you are getting actual real-time feedback, biofeedback from your body, your brain, everything, right? And Dr. Marty Olson Laney, who is the author of The Introvert Advantage, he explains this. He explained that introverts and highly sensitive persons metabolize dopamine differently. So While extroverts, they get energized by dopamine hits from social interactions. Introverts can actually feel overwhelmed by the same chemical. So it's like alcohol tolerance. Some people can drink everyone under the table, right? I mean, we've all like known that person. And then others get tipsy from hard kombucha. I know people who are like that. Like literally, they would smell champagne, and I swear to God, like that you're done. You can't even have a sip, right? So neither of this is wrong. They're just different operating systems. And the problem is that with this, holiday culture is designed by and for the high dopamine tolerance crowd. Think of all of the commercials. Think about like when you're ads, things like that, like everything that we see, right? And it leaves the rest of us feeling like we are failing at being a human being because we aren't exactly on board with all of this high intensity brouhaha during the holiday season all the time. So Mount Crumpet was a genius move. And what I mean is building your own cave. So here's where we're going to take all of this and we're going to flip the script. So instead of apologizing for needing space, which we should never feel like we have to do, what if we got strategic with it, right? What if we went full Grinch mode? And I'm talking strategic, not the stealing Grinch, not the like taunting the Who's or making poor little Max do like all the things, but about our nervous system's needs, right? So the Grinch training protocol, this is your cave time playbook. So the pre-game cave, because preparation beats medication. So just like you wouldn't hit a max deadlift without warming up, which would be totally freaking stupid. So let me tell you a story. So this was years ago at the gym, somebody came in cold and someone else was doing a bench press. And it was like there were cookies on each end for days, right? It was a massive stack of weights. Big dude came in, like he could do it, but you can't do that kind of shit when you're cold. Came over, got under the bench, went to do the bench press with all the weights on it, cold, no prep or anything. He literally tore his pec, literally just shredded, tore it apart. Okay. That's what this is, and so you don't want to hit the holiday gathering without having some kind of a nervous system prep. So research from Dr. Krista Neff on self-compassion shows that pre-event self-care dramatically improves stress resilience. So you could have a morning cave session, right? Wake up 30 minutes earlier for complete silence, right? No phone, no music, no input. And Dr. Marcus Rochelle's brain imaging studies have shown that this activates your default mode network. Essentially, what you're doing is you're giving your brain a full charge even before the depletion of the charge happens. Have a threshold ritual. So before entering any gathering, sit in your car for 5 minutes, set a timer, and breathe. And this isn't hiding. It's what Dr. Herbert Benson calls the relaxation response. And it's clinically proven to lower cortisol and blood pressure, right? Bathroom reconnaissance. Then nothing wrong with a little bathroom reconnaissance mission happening. So within 10 minutes of arrival, you could locate your escape routes. Like it's like when you need to know where the fire exits are, be ready. If you need to like use the Irish exit, like you got to know where you need to go to like skedaddle fast, right? But anyway, so 10 minutes before your arrival, locate your escape routes, right? And then know where the quiet spaces are. So this isn't paranoid. This is just what occupational therapists, they will call environmental control, and it helps to reduce anxiety by up to 40%. So what are some micro cave things that you could do disappearing in plain sight? The Grinch had Mount Crumpet, and you could have these in your metaphorical Mount Crumpet. It could be the helper cave. Maybe it's Listen, this is some good stuff here. and I like to do this, okay? Volunteer for dishes. Maybe it's like grocery runs, like somebody like, oh, I forgot. I'll go get that for you. Or like dog walking, right? Research on productive solitude, it shows that task focused alone time provides nervous system regulation while maintaining social acceptability. So you're not antisocial, you're actually being helpful as fuck, right? The phone call cave. So this is a great one. So step outside for a quote unquote important call. So stand in the cold. Listen, cold exposure, it is actually a good thing. It makes your mitochondria happy. I have actually been getting into doing more training outside in the cold. And I'm going to do a whole episode on that coming up in 2026. But a little sneak peek is when you train in the cold with as little clothing as possible. Now, on it, obviously, there's like, you got to have some boundaries on that. Like, you don't want to lose limbs or anything, but it helps your mitochondria. It helps the energy cells. And it also helps you to build muscle, have muscle protein synthesis. So I'm going to get into all of that. I don't want to give that away. But anyway, the phone call cave, right? So you're stepping outside for that important call, right? So stand in the cold and just breathe real air, right? And remind your nervous system that the world is bigger than Uncle Billy, Bobby, Jackie, whoever's, opinion on cryptocurrency, right? So the kid cave. So paradoxically, and not thinking about this, hanging out with kids can be less draining than adults. I mean, that is so true. What a no-brainer. I mean, but their prefrontal cortexes aren't fully online yet. So they're not performing social theater. It is absolutely fucking refreshing. My granddaughter is a constant reminder of that. Build the Legos. Like we just had the birthday party, and prior to that was Thanksgiving, and we played Uno, and then we did Pictionary, things like that, right? It was fun, color, whatever it is, hangman. Because Dr. Stuart Brown's play research shows that this activates parasympathetic, right? That's your rest and digest nervous system response. The pet cave, one of my actually probably my top favorite, take probably out my top favorite, find the dog. And for me, find my dogs. But I will tell you, when I go anywhere or I've gone to people's houses, I legit am like gravitating to the dog straight away. Sit with the dog. If somebody has cats and you like the cats, sit with the cats. Dr. Johannes Odendahl's research found that petting animals for just 3 minutes significantly lowers cortisol in both species. So it's a symbiotic relationship. Plus, nobody questions the person who's over there loving up and bonding on Fluffy, right? So how about something that we may not actually think we need, but is super uber important? And that's the post-game protocol. It's like recovering from a workout session like you mean it. It's the same thing because you wouldn't skip that post-workout recovery, right? So don't skip the post-social recovery, the decontamination shower. And this isn't just, I'm not talking hygiene. Water immersion, it actually activates mammalian dive response, and this slows down heart rate, heart rate, and it activates the parasympathetic nervous system, right? So make it cold at the end for that bonus system reset. Voice memo vent. So instead of replaying conversations for hours, which we do, which I do, I still do, I catch myself, right? Do a 5-minute, and I'm going to do this because this is actually something that, as I was prepping for this podcast, these literally came to me. The shower is like something that I will typically do. And it's cool because I saw one time, or read, not saw, but read, where you imagine like the colors of the chakra coming through the shower and basically like cleansing your aura kind of thing. But anyway, the voice memo event. So you do 5-minute voice memo brain dump, right? Say everything that you couldn't say, right? Then delete it. because Dr. James Pennebaker's expressive writing research shows that this prevents emotional rumination, which is something that is very insidious. And we will create these feedback loops that we will just keep playing over and over and over again. So the next day, nothing. So schedule nothing if you can the day after big gatherings. And this isn't being lazy, right? Dr. Sandra Chapman calls this strategic brain downtime. So it's essential for cognitive restoration. Your brain literally needs to defrag just like a computer would. Now I'm going to give you a permission slip from science. Look, I'm writing it down. See it? Here's what I need you to, or I would really strongly encourage you to internalize, right? You need cave time, and this isn't a character flaw. It's actually neurodiversity. Dr. Aaron's continued research shows that depth of processing, also known as introversion sensitivity, is found in over 100 species, right? It's an evolutionary advantage, and this is not a weakness, right? So highly sensitive members of any species are the ones who, they notice danger first, right? They're highly observational and they process information deeply enough to innovate. So, it's finding that balance out of the rush forward energy of the bold, right? Or it's those also, they have the balance of that rush forward energy of the bold. So basically, it's like they're the doers, right? And we need both types. The tragedy is that modern holiday culture only celebrates one, right? So the Grinch's character arc, and I want this to come from a reconsidered perspective, if you will. So here's the thing about the Grinch. And if you haven't watched it yet this season, or if you are going, have watched it, reflect on this a little bit. So the Grinch's story, that nobody talks about. He didn't change his basic nature at the end of the movie, right? He didn't become an extrovert who suddenly loved all the noise and all the chaos and all the like crazy brouhaha, right? He learned to engage with boundaries. He came to dinner, but I'm gonna bet some dollar bucks he went back to his cave after and he followed the protocol, right? He probably did the next day nothing protocol. And I'm going to say, probably did a decontamination shower. And I bet you he did the voice vent memo too. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. See, that's the real message, right? Not that solitude is bad, but that connection and self-preservation can coexist. You can love people and you can love having that safety cave for you to go to. You can show up for others and show up for your own very nervous system as well. So your holiday mission, and I would like you to, if you could, to choose, if you choose to accept this, right? This season, instead of apologizing for those cave needs, what if you announced them in a very easy way? I'm going to take a break for a quick recharge break. I'm going to step outside. It now it doesn't always beat the Irish goodbye, but sometimes listen. Sometimes you just got to have the Irish goodbye, the Irish exit. It doesn't matter. There are situations that call for it. But if this isn't one of those and you just need that little time, I'm going to take a quick recharge break or schedule them. Put cave time in your calendar like any other non-negotiable, like any other appointment that you would put up. Celebrate them, right? Post-gathering recovery isn't a weakness. It's wisdom. And share them. So tell others about, maybe they come to you and they're talking about this. Maybe you can share your cave strategies that you have, and you'll be shocked at how many secret Grinches actually come out of hiding. And remember, the Grinch only became truly happy when he designed a life that still honored his nature while allowing for connection. He didn't have to become someone else. He didn't have to change all the things, right? And totally lose who he was. He had to become more himself, right? And that's the real holiday miracle, my savage badgers. It's not transforming into someone you're not, but giving yourself permission to be exactly who you are, cave needs and all. All right, Badgers, there you have it. Scientific permission to go full Grinch when you need to. So here's what I want you to remember as we wrap this up. Your nervous system isn't broken. And, you are not antisocial. You're selectively social. And needing cave time doesn't make you the villain in anybody's holiday story. It makes you the hero of your own. So this week's homework, yeah, I'm giving you some homework this week, right? Pick one cave strategy from today and actually use it, right? And, not think about using it, not feel guilty about using it. Actually use it. And then send me an email. Let me know how it went. grittyglitterbadger@gmail.com, or post about it and tag me in the post, Gritty Glitter Badger. I really want to hear, how it's going and be there to support you.